This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so yesterday we registered with Salesforce. So when you want to start as an administrator or developer, so anyone who want to start with Salesforce, to register, they need to open one of the website called developer.salesforce.com, and here you can register for free, and it will be lifetime. It will be lifetime with you. So I recommend you to register here and have the account. So once after registering, to log in, right? Whatever it creates is the production. So now it's like production. The URL to login is the login.salesforce.com, or when you register, Salesforce generate one unique URL for your organization. You can use any one of that URL and enter the username and the password so that you will be logged into Salesforce. Okay, so here login.salesforce.com. To log in, I'm using username and also I'm giving the password. Click on login so that it will be logged into Salesforce. So here, one of the limitation with the free account, free developer edition account, we are not able to create the sandbox. So that is the limitation. But really, when you deal with the production, the paid account, you will see the option to create the sandboxes. So why we use sandboxes? When we start development, we are not going to directly work in the production. So working in production directly is not recommended. In general, in a project, we follow the process. So in most of the projects, first we work in the dev sandbox, and after, as a developer, after doing the unit testing, we deploy those changes to QA, one of the other sandbox. Testing team, they will do the testing, and they deploy to UAT. UAT means user acceptance testing. Maybe in this example, the client side, right? HP company, those employees do the testing. Once they sign off, finally it will be deployed to production. That's the process. Okay, so now since here in the free account we are not able to see this, so I'm going to open one of the paid account and I'll show you how we can see the option for sandboxes and how we can maybe see how we can create or how the existing sandboxes are there. I'll show. For that, let me log into one of the production organization. Okay, just I'm trying to log in. So if you see, this is account. So this is a paid account. So now when you go to company information, if you want to see the account details, you can go to company information and you can see the details here. Okay. So the company name and the primary contact, and also if you see the space, click on view, right, up to 10 GB space is there. Okay, so file storage 13 GB. But in the free developer edition account, only 5 MB data we can store. Okay, that is one of the huge difference. And the licenses, since it is a paid account, each license we need to purchase. Okay, so I purchased only one license. I have only one license. But in the free account, we get 2 licenses. Okay, and this is the enterprise edition. I registered for enterprise edition, and this account is having space in AP16 server, right? AP means Asia Pacific. In that server, this company is having the space. Okay, maybe for us, right? This is our account, our developer edition account. So if you go here, company information. And ours is a developer edition account. We got the space in AP24 server, right? It is like that. Now only the difference between the other difference is sandboxes. We cannot see the sandboxes in the developer edition account. But here, this is one of the paid account. Now here, when you search for sandboxes, you are seeing option for sandboxes. Click on sandboxes. So if you see, these are the different sandboxes. So based on the company policy, based on the process, they create the sandboxes. Right here, there is a sandbox dev, QA, UAT, right? So these are the sandboxes available. The development and testing and all those things we do in the sandbox. So what exactly, when you create the sandbox, what exactly will happen when you click on new sandbox? So there are different types of sandboxes: developer, developer pro, partial copy, and full. So based on the type of sandbox, whatever we choose, based on that, system decide which kind of information it will copy from the production. Here, if you see, so when you create a sandbox, what will happen in the production? Whatever the information is there, all that information will be copied, and that system will create the space in some other server. So it's not that in the same server we get the space, right? If you see here, it is having space in AP6 server. When you create the sandbox, maybe we get the space in CS17 or somewhere, right? CS means customer sandbox. So when you create the sandbox, what exactly you want from the production? So based on the type of sandbox license we choose, these features will vary. Okay, let's understand about this developer. So when you choose developer type and create a sandbox, so what it can copy from the production. So let's understand here. So one of the point is it includes only configuration, right? And it cannot include the data. So whatever the data present in the database. So for now, for our understanding, just assume like that. We have campaign table, we have leads table, accounts table, contacts table. In those tables, data will be there, right? In production on day to day, the sales reps and marketing reps, they create some data in those tables. So here, when we say configuration, only the table structure, right? What is the column name? What is the data type of the column? Only the table structure it copy. Whatever the data inside the table, that it cannot copy. So that's what will happen. When I say configuration, only the configuration, maybe for you to understand. So let me open Excel. So here, when you have a table, statistic here sometime, how many columns are there? So what is the data type of that column? Only that part it copy. So whatever the data we keep inside that, so it won't copy. Okay, so now let's say this is a contacts table. Say contact. In this table we have the columns: first name, last name, email, mobile, date of birth, right? So let's say birthday. Internally, it might be a text, it might be an email data type, phone data type, date data type. So we'll have some data, right? So here on day to day when we deal, like this, we have data. Many records will be there. Same way, there might be hundreds of thousands of records. Okay, assume that this is the data. Now, when I say configuration, only this part, only what are the columns are there. This data won't be copied. Only up to this skeleton part, this part it will copy. So that's the configuration. Okay, only the configuration. Going forward, we write the Apex code as part of the development, right? So Apex and metadata means the application structure. So whatever the configuration things are there, all those things it copy, and the users in the production, all those it copy, but not the real data. The data in the production cannot be copied. And also here the capacity, maybe the production capacity might be 10 GB or 100 GB. Okay, but for the developer type of sandbox, system allocate only 200 MB of the space. Why we need this? To create the test data. To test the application, we need some test data. To create the test data, we need some memory. For that purpose, they allocate 200 MB of the space. So that is about the developer sandbox. Okay, so I have developer sandbox. When you choose, these are the limitations we have. Copy only this, and only the capacity is 200 MB. And also the refresh time interval. They are saying 1 day. So what is this refresh time interval? Why we need to refresh? So what will happen when you work for a project? So let's say, right, so here we're saying this is production, and this team is working, and let's say as part of the first release, they are working on some of the requirements. So first they work in team, right? In the developer sandbox, they work. So when they started working, okay, so maybe after while working, they make many changes. So let's say I'm one of the developer. To achieve the requirement, I might make many changes. And finally, we go with one of the best approach. Maybe for other approaches, whatever the changes I made, I might forget to revert back to original state. The other developers also might do the same thing. After 2 or 3 releases, what will happen? When you compare this dev with the production. So maybe in production, we move only the perfect changes because QA team is testing, UAT team is testing. Finally, only we document all those changes in a proper way and deploy the proper changes to production. But in dev, there will be many unnecessary changes which are not moved to production. So after 2 or 3 releases, what will happen? If you continue to work on the dev, we think that when you work, whatever you see in the dev, same thing is there in production also. If you think like that and work, you see the results wrong because there are many unnecessary changes are there in the dev sandbox. So to avoid those issues, in general, in the projects, every 3 months or 6 months, it's based on the project. It's not the rule. Even in some projects, they don't refresh until 1 year, 2 years also. It's all based on the project and how, as a team, we decide. Okay, in general, every 3 months or 6 months, they refresh the sandbox. When they refresh meaning, so when they refresh, it will clear all the contents of the sandbox, right? It will remove everything from the sandbox, and again, it will copy from the production and equalize with the production. So that's the concept of the refresh. So here, when you refresh, let's say you created one of the developer sandbox. If at all, if you want to refresh that immediately, in general, we don't have requirement to refresh immediately. In case if you want to refresh, you created a sandbox and you want to refresh. For the developer type, at least we need to wait for 1 day to refresh. Okay, it's not that people are thinking every one day we need to refresh. It's not like that. If at all, if there is a situation for you to refresh immediately after creating the sandbox, that is not possible. At least we need to wait for one day. So in general, after 3 months or 6 months, we refresh. So this is um, one of the point, refresh time interval. So one day, and one of the other type, developer pro. While creating the sandbox, when you choose this developer pro sandbox, exactly same features as developer, only the difference is the capacity. In the developer sandbox, we get 200 MB space. In the developer pro sandbox, system allocate 1 GB capacity. Right? So that's the difference. In the same way, when you choose the partial copy, so while creating the sandbox, when you choose the partial copy sandbox, so that time the capacity will be 5 GB. And here, along with the configuration, it also copy the data, the real data from the production. Right? In the production, if there is some data, right, in the table, this data also it can copy, but not all the data. Let's say the production, the data capacity is 10 GB. Here, it cannot copy all the 10 GB data. How much it can copy? Only the partial selected objects. Here, object means table. Okay, selected tables data it will copy. Okay, up to only 5 GB capacity. Only up to that much sample data it can copy from the production, the real data from the production. So that's one of the difference, right? How we decide? There is a template. Using the template, we decide from which table we want to copy the data. So that is a partial copy sandbox. Partially, we can copy the real data from the production. And one more type, full copy, right? The full copy sandbox when you choose. And again here for this refresh time interval, 5 days. That means once you create this sandbox, we need to wait for 5 days. For this 29 days, when you create the full copy sandbox, if at all, if you want to refresh again, we need to at least minimum wait for 29 days. That's the meaning. So capacity is same as source. That means if the production capacity is 300 GB, the full copy sandbox capacity also 300 GB, right? So without any limitation, exactly in the production, whatever the information is there, everything it can copy. Without any limitation, it can copy all the information from the production. So that's the full copy license. Okay, so out of this, all these sandboxes, if you see developer and develop partial copy, some of these sandboxes they give for free. You see here, I did not purchase any sandboxes. They are providing 25 developer type of sandboxes for free, and the partial copy sandbox one free. But these two types, developer pro or full copy, we need to purchase. We have to purchase and have the licenses to create these full copy sandboxes. Okay, so when you complete creating this one, similar to this, whatever here I am showing, these sandboxes will be created. Sorry. So here, if you see the locations where the sandbox location, the dev sandbox is created in CS113, right? In that sandbox, in that server location. This is the server name, right? CS means customer sandbox. QA sandbox is in CS58. So like that. Okay. And also here refresh, right? I was saying refresh time interval. So this is the refresh. If you create a new sandbox, so let's say if you create the developer type of sandbox, we cannot refresh one day, meaning we don't see this refresh link. Okay, until one day they won't show the refresh link. So if you create the full copy sandbox, After creating until 29 days, you don't see the refresh link here. So that's the meaning of that. Okay, so these are the sandboxes and that's the process. So now let's log in and see. Let's log into one of the sandbox and see how it looks. So before we log in, so I told that to log into the production, the URL is login.salesforce.com, right? So this is the URL. To log into any sandbox, right? It can be any sandbox. To log into sandbox, the URL is test2.salesforce.com. So that's the URL. test2.salesforce.com. To which sandbox? We have multiple sandboxes. So for all sandboxes, same URL? Yes. For all the sandboxes, same URL. But how we know to which sandbox we are trying to log in? In general, let's say if this is a username for the production, right? First name dot last name @company.com. So when they maintain the username for the div, right? So maybe password can be something. How they maintain the production username dot div, right? If it is QA, we follow this naming convention. Production username dot QA, right? In the same way UAD. So since at the end of the username they'll append for which sandbox we are trying to log in. So that way, even though the same URL for all the sandboxes, with the username we can understand to which sandbox we are trying to log in. Okay, so that's the process. Okay, so here test.salesforce.com. So let's say this is one of the sandbox. I'm trying to log in. So if you see, this is a sandbox. So if you see, when you log into sandbox, on top you see like this, sandbox div. So when you log into QA, you will see sandbox QA. Select that. Okay. So this is the way how we log in. In general, when you join in a project on day-to-day when you work, we work in the sandbox. Okay, so we work in the sandbox on day-to-day test.salesforce.com, provide the credentials and the login and work. That's what we do. But for us, so if you see exactly, you don't see any difference. Almost everything you see as same. Okay, you don't see any difference when compared to the production unless we customize. Maybe here I have a custom application. If you have custom application, then specific to that, you will see. Otherwise, in general, the same application is there in production also. Okay, so but while working, we work here and we deploy from this sandbox to production. The deployment also I'll explain going forward. We have the topic. So when we reach the topic, I'll explain how we can deploy. Okay, so for now, this one just I'm explaining to show you how the sandboxes looks and how we log in. So that's the process. So we should aware of this process, right? So people are learning the Salesforce, but once they join in the project, right? If you don't know how to log into sandbox, the other people can easily understand that you don't have experience, right? So this is a very basic thing to know. On day-to-day, mostly we work in sandbox. The URL is test.salesforce.com. The username will be in production, whatever the username is there. For that, they append the sandbox name, and most of the projects they follow like this. So we provide that username and the password and login and do the development. Finally, we deploy to production. Okay, so the development life cycle, how when the project starts. So let's say you joined in one of the company when the project starts. So mostly nowadays in all projects they follow the agile process. You'll be having a sprint one, sprint two, right? Multiple releases. In each sprint, we work for some of the requirements out of many requirements of the client. And the QA team, they do the testing. In case of any bugs, again, we need to work. So as a developer, we work in Dev Sandbox. After developing and after doing the unit testing, we move those changes to QA. Here, testing team, they do the testing. If they find any bugs, again, we need to fix in Dev, again, deploy to QA. So after signing off from QA, the changes will be moved to UAT. UAT mostly the client side, right? The client side here, the client is HP. The employees of the client, they will do the UAT testing. If they find any bug, again we work in Dev, we fix and again deploy to QA. Again testing team, they will do the testing and finally it will be moved to UAT. When they sign off, finally on the deployment date, the changes will be deployed to production. That's the process. Again, for second release also same process. We work in Dev, deploy to QA team, they'll do the testing, move to UAT and production. So this is a cycle we follow in the project until all the requirements of the client satisfied. We keep on work like that and deliver. That's what we do. Okay, now in the process of working for these requirements. So let's say, so I'm one of the employee. So as an administrator or developer working on one of the requirement. In the process of achieving the requirement, some of the requirements we can achieve with the configuration, the point and click tools provided by Salesforce. With those tools, we can achieve the most of the requirements. So that part we call as configuration.
Hi Shrinu, I think your screen is freezed.
Sorry. From how long it is freezed?
Since you have logged into this sandbox.
So sandbox? Okay, you did not see the sandbox?
No, I
Past
didn't
10
see.
minutes.
I don't know about others.
Sorry?
Past 10 minutes screen was breaking. Its logo is coming. Yeah.
Yeah, 10-15 minutes.
Oh, so why you, someone should tell me, right? Okay, anyway, yeah. So did you see this, whatever I explained here?
Yeah, this one I saw.
So did you see what I explained here about the sandboxes and everything?
Yeah, different types of
After the
sandbox.
login, we couldn't see anything.
Okay. So the thing is, this is the production. So I logged in and I clicked on new sandbox. Right, I showed this. I'm not sure whether you saw this or not. So
Yeah, I saw this.
so you saw this. Okay. So I explained about the different types of sandboxes we have and all these things. And after that, I just opened tester.salesforce.com and right, so the username, whatever the production username, followed by div and password. Once I enter, I have logged into sandbox. When you log into sandbox, you will see like this. So sandbox div, right? So when you log into QA, you will see like this. So that's what will happen. On day to day, we work in the sandbox. In general, when you join in a project. Okay, this just I'm showing you to understand how exactly we work in project. Okay, so now coming back to like what we are discussing here. Here I'm explaining. So we have right. So in general, this is a production, and so here the corresponding sandboxes to log in. This is the naming convention they follow. So that's what I explained. And here we are understanding. So when you have any requirement, when you work for some of the requirements, first we work in dev, deploy to QA, evaluate, and finally production. So when you started working for a requirement, some of the requirements we can achieve with the point and click. Okay, so some of the requirements with point and click we can achieve. So when you achieve some of the requirements with the point and click, so that part we call as configuration. Okay, configuration or the administration. Salesforce administration or Salesforce admin, right? The meaning is this. We are not going to develop anything. There are some predefined tools from Salesforce. By using those tools, we configure and achieve the client requirement. So when you work for those, by using those when you work, so people say that is a administration part. Okay. So first 4 weeks, we are going to understand about the administration as part of this course. Okay, so around, I'm saying 3 weeks, but nowadays it is taking 4 weeks. And after this, some of the requirements while trying to achieve, we cannot achieve with the point and click tools provided by Salesforce. So that time, if something is not possible, in Salesforce, one of the rule is first we should try with the administration, the configuration options. If something is not possible with the configuration, then only we need to go with the development. That is one of the rule. Okay. So we need to go with the development. So that people also say as customization, right? Customization or development, right? Or dev, right? Salesforce dev means this is a course. So as a developer, to achieve those requirements, we should know about the development also. After administration, I'm going to start development, and so development will take around 6 to 8 weeks. I think I can say 8 weeks. Just take it. Okay. So as part of this course, so first we start with the administration. First 4 weeks we discuss about the administration, and after that we start with the development, and around 8 weeks we discuss about the development. So that's what we are going to discuss as part of this course. So some examples. If you want the full syllabus, already when I shared the message to you, right, I gave the link to that. So to see the full syllabus, so I recommend you to open here and see, right? If you want to see both, let's say click on admin plus development. So this is the syllabus. Okay. So we just started with this. We understood what is cloud computing, so what is CRM, right? So all those things, and slowly, right? So we're discussing about, I think today we discussed about the production sandboxes and for development. So this is the syllabus. I think few topics I did not add. Okay, so whatever as per the latest at present, so as per that we discuss all those topics. Okay, so for the syllabus, I recommend you to see that, and some of the examples how we can achieve the configuration, right? So let's say one of the client requirement is automatically they want to send email, right? Automatically they want to update one of the record in a table. So those are some situations. We have some tools like process builder, workflow rule, right? So these are some tools. Using this, we can automate some of the actions, right? And also the data model. So when you create the table, which table is parent, which table is child, the table creation, no need to create any command. From our side, no need to write any commands. The configuration we can create, right? So creating the tables and establishing the relationships, right? So these are some of the high level, right? Very, very high level. Just I'm giving few examples. You can see the syllabus for the exact options, whatever we discuss. But few requirements we cannot achieve with the configuration. That time we need to do the development. So as part of the development, what exactly we are going to use, right? So here in Salesforce, we are like a full stack developer, right? Full stack means we work on UI, we work on business logic, we work on the database also, right? Let's say if you open any application, right? This is the web page you are seeing, right? When you click here, what is happening internally? It executes some business logic, right? We have UI. So what we see is the user interface, and we have business logic internally. When you click on a button or do something, some logic will be executed. From here, if you are saving a record or if you are doing something, that information will be saved into database, right? So we work in all levels. Okay, so for UI, we have different options here in Salesforce. In general, on day-to-day, not only Salesforce, if you take any technology to develop the web page, UI is nothing but the web page. So we have HTML, we have JavaScript, and the CSS. So those are common in other technologies also. We should know the basics. Maybe when I teach, I'll explain the basics, whatever we need for Salesforce. So we also know about those basics. And after that, specific to Salesforce, we have Visual Force, one of the markup languages. Similar to HTML, Visual Force only available for Salesforce platform. Right? Dedicatedly Salesforce, they are providing this markup language. We use Visual Force to develop the web pages. And also in 2015, Salesforce introduced Lightning components. So nowadays this we also call as ARA, right? ARA components in 2015. So this framework, this also we use for the development of the web page. And also in 2019, Salesforce they introduced LWC. LWC means so Lightning Web Components. They introduced it in 2019. Okay, so these also we use to develop the UI. So as part of the UI, to develop the UI, these are the things we are going to discuss as part of this course. Okay, but I cannot say I'll explain these two in detail end to end. Basics, right? Basics of ARA and LWC, until that I'll cover. Really in depth if you want, again, it is taking 6 more weeks, right? It is like a separate training after this. Okay, so that time when you are interested, you can join for that. Otherwise, for interview purpose or extending your knowledge on top of this, the basics, whatever I'm going to explain, those are sufficient. Okay, so and also the business logic for this internal business logic to execute, we use one of the programming language called Apex. Apex is one of the programming language, and many people they ask, do I need to know about the Apex programming language or Java or something? No. So no need to know. As part of this course, from the basics, starting with what is a program, we'll start with the basics and understand all the details of the Apex programming language. I'm not expecting anyone to know about Java or something. Okay. So why people compare with Java? The syntax is similar to Java. That's the reason. Not exactly Java, it is based on the OOPS concepts. Okay, there are many other programming languages supporting OOPS concepts. C++, Java, .NET. Already, if you know, it is fine. If you don't know, also fine. We are going to discuss from basics and understand. Okay. When compared to the Java, .NET, or other languages, here it is simple. I cannot say very dead easy. Medium level complexity when compared to Java. Salesforce, they simplified many things for us. As a developer, easily we can write the code and work when compared to Java. So that is about the business logic. Once this is executed, finally through this Apex, it will interact with the database tables, inserting or updating or deleting or reading the data from database. All those things. To do that, right, we need to know about the database commands in some situations when you start developing. So here we use SOQL, SOSL, and the DML. All these commands we use. Okay, so SOQL means Salesforce Object Query Language. It's very simple. All these commands with 1 hour discussion we'll get to know. Right? That much simple. Not like too much complex queries we need to write. There are some basic set of queries. With 1 hour discussion, we will be understanding all these things, how we write. Okay, so in a simplified way, you can understand this. We also need to work for this, right? Since we are working for all these layers. One is the UI layer, business logic layer, and database layer. So I'm saying we are like a full stack developer. Okay, and also apart from this, many people ask, do we discuss about integration? Right? So integration means we are working for Salesforce. Right? Let's say HP company. This HP company, maybe they are using Salesforce. Right? In Salesforce, the short form of Salesforce is SFDC. SFDC means Salesforce.com. Okay. So in general, on day-to-day, when you work for a project, they call as SFDC team. When you search for job, you see as SFDC administrator, SFDC developer, right? So this is a short form for Salesforce. So let's say they're using HP company, they're using Salesforce for CRM. Maybe same company, they might be using, let's say, QuickBooks, one of the other platform, to manage their accounting process, right? Accounting day-to-day, payments and everything. So like this, maybe they might be using SAP for some other business module, right? So same client, they have multiple applications on different platforms. They need communication between these platforms. They have application on Salesforce, so they have application on SAP. They want to establish the communication. To establish the communication, we integrate and establish. Okay, so that also we discuss as part of this course. Okay, here maybe whatever I am explaining, these are at very high level. Okay, so this is what we discuss as part of this course in the next weeks. Okay. So here, any questions on about the course, what we discuss, and all these things? Okay. So now I'm going to explain. So how I'm going to provide the material, right? So how I give access. The first thing, right? I'm sharing the notes, whatever I'm typing, right? And how to access these notes, I'll show you, right? So these notes, and also I registered for one of the account. Whatever I configure, going forward, I'll configure and show you, right? Maybe I'll create one application and I will create few tables and show you how I'm going to provide access to the org where we work. So the Salesforce org, whatever I use to explain that, I'll provide access, and I'm providing recordings with 1 day, maybe within 1 day, you get the recordings. So beyond that, so I have the interview questions website. So if someone follows my course, so here there are some interview questions based on the topics, whatever we discuss. So I recommend you to see this, right? Let's say we know production URL, we know sandbox URL. So why we use sandbox? In an organized way, there are some questions here. You can access this. And beyond this, some soft copies, right? Google Drive, through Google Drive, based on the need, when I want to share a PDF or one of the folder to work. So I'm going to share through Google Drive. Okay, so with this, I'm going to provide the material, and for all these things, most of the things to access. So I'm going to provide one URL to you on day to day. So all you need to do is this is a URL. Okay, so maybe once you join this course, you need to bookmark this URL. All you need to do is open this website and enter your email address and log in, so that you will be logged into the class account. The class account, whatever I am teaching, to that account you will be logged in automatically when you enter your email. So when I say enter email, means not any email, the email which you registered for this course, right? When you are filling the form, registration form, what is the email address you gave? That email address you need to give. Right? Sometimes people are giving something else and saying they are not able to log in. So make sure to use the email address which you registered for this course, so that you will be logged in. Once you log in, so you will access our account. So once after starting the regular sessions, so what I'll do, just I'm showing how I provide access. On day to day, the notes, I'm not going to send any email for the notes. Okay, only for recording, daily I'm going to send some email. That too, you will get that email through YouTube. Okay. So the notes and all you need to do is, once you log into Salesforce, so you need to click on this app launcher. So maybe from tomorrow I'll show you what are these navigations and how we work. You need to click here, and you need to search for admin notes, and when you click on this, the updated notes, whatever I type on day to day, you will get here automatically. So you'll see here. Somehow, if you are not seeing, so there might be a pop-up blocking in our browser. Just allow pop-up so that you can see the notes. So here we have notes, right? So maybe going forward, we'll create one application to make it easy for you. I add all the links to that application. So in the same way, Devo notes you can access. In the same way, the screenshot. Maybe navigations people feel difficult initially. So how to create, right? Where to click, where to navigate. So how to proceed, right? There are some navigations, right? So all you need to do is follow this navigation and configure. So it's not for entire course, for the first week, right? So from tomorrow until next week, whatever we configure, those steps are here. But after 1 week, obviously, you'll get to know how to navigate and all those things. Until that time, this also you can use for reference, how you can navigate and how you can access. Okay, so that is this, and here itself. So maybe tomorrow I'll explain along with the training. So there is a training program from Salesforce officially. Okay, along with the training, if you also take the official Salesforce training, and so admin beginner, I am recommending this one to start with. So when you go to this trailhead, here also there are many Salesforce affiliated websites, right? This is one of the Salesforce affiliated website. Everywhere the same username and password which you registered for developer edition account, right? For developer edition, when you register for first time, whatever the credentials you got, like the username and password, same thing we use by opening login.salesforce.com, and also when you open this trailhead, one of the Salesforce affiliated website, here also we'll use the same username and password. In case if it is asking for additional information, provide the additional information and login. So once you log in, you can take the trainings here. Okay, about how we take training, maybe tomorrow I'll take one of the sample training and show you how we can do. So this is what, along with what I explained in the course, you need to practice this. Along with that, so there is a PDF, right? So all you need to do is click here and here. So here there is a PDF document from chapter 4. So here there is a note, right? Read it, and from chapter 4, I am recommending you to configure. This is also one of the project. This is a recruitment application for one of the company called Universal Container. So for your practice, I recommend you to follow this and practice, right? So when you have more practice, then you can easily do many things. Okay, so this is these two things apart from whatever we discuss on day to day. To do all these things, these are like you won't get time to do. So if you are not working, so if you're really doing all these things, so you will be occupied with doing all these things. You won't be getting time to do beyond this. Really beyond this, if someone wants something, so I also offer internship, and I have my own Salesforce production. I have many enhancements and integrations working. I can include working for that project for internship. But if you want to do the internship, you should know the basics, right? Without knowing anything, you cannot do that, right? So once you have enough basics, I can also offer the internship, really, if you want to do. Okay, and interview questions, and also there is a WhatsApp group, so you can join this group, and if I'm not available, the old students will help, or I'll ask someone to help you by connecting one-to-one. So, and I can utilize this, and also after the course, after completing the course, I'll connect one-to-one and explain about the, prepare the resume and explain about the current project. Okay, so mostly weekend time I will prepare, right? Saturday, Sunday I'll prepare. So you can maybe schedule and so that I'll connect and explain. So that's what I do, and offer the material as part of this course. Okay, so beyond this, so any other questions, anyone? So with the today, we are done with the demo sessions. From tomorrow, we are starting with the regular sessions. So regular sessions means, again, I'm not going to repeat, right? Already the course is started and we are done with the 3 sessions. From tomorrow, the continuation. So from here, we'll understand about few more basics and start developing. So from tomorrow, there is a change in the meeting link. Okay, so some of you, so if you are joining newly, so you have to pay the fee so that you will get the meeting link. So now, any questions, anyone? Any questions about this course, anything? So class timing for regular classes, same timing. Until this course completes, the same timing. There is no change in the timing, and Monday to Friday.
I have one question.
If you want to ask anything about this course or anything, you can ask me.
Hello.
Okay, no questions. Okay, so maybe to continue further, we don't have more time, so I can continue from tomorrow. Check your email for the new meeting link. So you'll get the new meeting link once you pay the fee. Okay, so before ending, any other final questions? So are we going to get the live project knowledge? So I'm going to take the requirements and explain the requirements. Right? The requirements, whatever I take on day to day in most of the projects, whatever we do, I take those requirements and explain practically. For sure, when you join in a project, whatever I explain, if you follow and practice, you can directly work in a project. Right? Up to 3 to 5 years experience, candidate, how much knowledge they should have. That much we are covering as part of this course. Yeah, I think someone is asking question. Any questions?
Yes, so throughout our course, we will be practicing on the same site, right, which you have told yesterday.
For your practice, you need to register an account, right? Did you register here? You need to open this.
Yes, yes.
So once you register, you will be having account, right? You have username and password. You need to log into your account and practice.
Okay.
So in session, whatever I explain, same thing you need to practice in your account. And also these trainings, right? Railway training, and also here whatever the PDF I am suggesting, all those things you can configure in our developer edition account. Right? So that account is like for your POC, and it will be there for a long time. Whatever the important the configuration and code, whatever you want to keep, you can keep in the developer edition account. It will be useful for you to see that, to refer and work in project also, right? So it's like that. Okay. Yeah. Any other questions before ending?
And what is that sales cloud, marketing cloud? Do we cover some basics in these sessions? That they have separate sections
Yeah, I'll
or
cover basics.
required? Sorry.
Yeah, I'll cover the basics. So there
Okay.
are standard applications, right? So sales we have, and the service we have, marketing, some of the standard applications. I will go through all these applications. So I'll open each and every application and explain, and also I'll explain. So here this one we call as tab, right? So maybe the table here I'm calling as object. So what is the terminology? So all those things we'll discuss. We'll have the basics. Okay.
Sir Akshay here. In the sandbox, you said in the partial copying the data. How shall I know like how much data I'm copying to that from the production link to this one?
Yeah. So there is a template. Okay. So through that template, we choose. Let's say there are 100 tables in the database, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you are interested to copy only account, contact, and maybe some other object information.
Yeah.
So the template we choose these objects, and also data. Let's say in account there are 1 million records. Okay, but there is a limit of 10,000. Out of 1 million, it cannot copy all 1 million records. For each table, there is a maximum limit of 10K. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Up to 10K records from each table, it can copy, and it will create the sandbox.
So while copying from the production, it will show any limitation like this much data has been copied while it will show any size of the file.
Size, that's why, right? So the capacity of the partial copy sandbox is 5 GB, right? So that's
Yes, sir.
why based on number of tables, whatever we choose, They are not going to copy all millions of records, right? They are limiting to only 10K. 10K from each table, the maximum. The 5 GB will be sufficient. The size, if you want to see, you can, again, after creating that sandbox, you can go to the table and see.
Got it. Yes.
Yeah. So in general, to see the size, so when you go to company information, so when you go to this user space, here you will see each table and how much occupied. Let's say opportunity, there are 31 records and it occupied 62 KB. Here you can see. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, we'll continue tomorrow. Maybe first 3 sessions, since I need to explain about the platform, I explained in a theoretical way. Maybe tomorrow also, mostly we discuss theoretically, but after that, everything will be practical. We are going to configure and achieve the requirements. Okay. So, yeah, we'll continue tomorrow. Thank you.